Season's greetings. I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, and when I'm not learning the true meaning of Christmas, I'm here at the Wolfula reviewing movies. What's the true meaning of Christmas, you ask? Oh, that's simple. Partying. Having a good time. You know, like Jesus did. Anyway, Christmas time is finally here at last. At least I hope it is, because if this is another late holiday video, I'm gonna be so fucking irritated. Nothing has been going right for me lately. But regardless, in this video, I'll be reviewing another film in the infamous Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise. Specifically, the third sequel, Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Initiation.
Hey, you little bastard!
Now, the first three Silent Night, Deadly Night films concern the story of Billy Chapman, and later, his little brother Ricky Caldwell. The first flick was a mostly straightforward tale of a kid traumatized by his encounter with the murderous Santa who made him an orphan, and then the kid eventually becomes a killer Saint Nick himself upon reaching adulthood.
Punish!
A heavy-handed film with very goofy execution of its concept, but you can make sense of it as a slasher flick, and it was still entertaining. The sequels that followed it, though, immediately went off the rails into complete nonsense.
Fuck off, Doc.
The second movie focused on Billy's brother Ricky, and part 2 took the phrase carbon copy sequel a little too literally because most of the second movie is just flashbacks of clips from the original movie to save money, narrated occasionally by Ricky.
I was just a baby and Billy was only 7. But he knew all about Santa Claus.
And the only reason to watch this scam of a movie today that has barely anything Christmassy about it is to witness the unforgettably insane performance of Eric Freeman as Ricky.
Red car. Good point.
Only Eric Freeman could say 2 words this memorably.
Garbage Day! Huh? No!
Then there was the third Silent Night, Deadly Night film, which was an actual, totally new movie that still managed to be more forgettable than the second film. Even with Bill Moseley in the role of Ricky, now sporting a brain dome on his head and terrorizing a blind bitch.
And a happy new year.
Yeah, it's safe to say the producers of the Silent Night, Deadly Night series just stopped giving a fuck after the first movie. And when the makers of a franchise stop giving a fuck, eventually they turned to Brian Yuzna, because who fucking cares at this point? And so they did. Brian Yuzna directed the fourth Silent Night, Deadly Night movie released in 1990. And for the most part, his film ignored the Chapman trilogy that preceded it. But not only that, Initiation has nothing to do with the original film's slasher concept involving a killer Santa. So it's a bit like the anthology approach attempted with Halloween 3. But if it's not about a killer Santa or even a slasher movie anymore, what is the fourth Silent Night, Deadly Night movie about then? Well, I'll give you a hint. The movie's title in the UK is literally just Bugs. Oh boy, that sounds terrific. Let's begin my review of Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Initiation. Initiation begins by showing us the nightly routine of world-famous actor Clint Howard, who takes a break from shuffling along his shopping cart to take a bite out of a discarded hamburger covered in ants. Yup, just an average moment in the life of Clint Howard. Another thing Clint Howard frequently encounters in his life? Women on fire falling to their deaths. Just one of the many exciting things you see when you're the brother of the guy who directed The Grinch. After the cold open, we of course are treated to the film's credits, and you probably guessed this was a Kwanzaa horror movie based on the color scheme of the title card. One thing I do have to admit, this film does have a kinda neat looking Saul Bass style to the opening credits. Nothing really Christmassy about the design, but it looks kinda cool. Anyway, this is a Brian Yuzna movie, so we can't go too long without a scene in a sleazy motel with 2 people graphically fucking while actual porn also plays on a TV in the background. This is supposed to be hot, but this movie already showed us Clint Howard, so anybody horny watching this film has lost their boner for at least 3 weeks.
What do you call it when people burn up like that?
The couple we just met railing each other are Kim and Hank, journalists working for the LAI. Yeah, this movie takes place in Southern California like the last 2 movies, so the best they can do to make it look like winter is scattering Christmas decorations randomly into scenes.
Listen, I was thinking maybe I could do a story on that woman who burned.
Let's go.
The newspaper building the duo works in honestly looks like the lobby of an Econo Lodge, and it's here where Kim makes it clear that she wants to be the reporter covering the story about the woman spontaneously combusting the night before.
This would make a great story.
Spontaneous combustion.
But the LAI is a boys' club. Kim's boss, the guy from the Phantasm movies, doesn't respect her. Hell, even Kim's own boyfriend, Hank, doesn't take her seriously.
Well, yeah, maybe we should do something on this.
I was thinking that
Hank,
maybe
why don't you jump on it?
So Kim has to take it upon herself to crack this flamer case wide open.
I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yep, this movie is the story of a strong, independent woman proving she doesn't need a man to make her way in the world. Which, you know, is fine, but at the same time, the fact that before we know anything else about her, the main character's first scene is her engaged in hardcore sex in a cheap motel kinda takes away from the whole strong, empowered woman, not just an object of desire thing the movie's going for here. At least tell us her name first before you show a guy up in her guts if you want us to take her seriously.
I've been working real hard around
You
here.
know, I haven't seen anybody work harder their first month.
Anyway, Kim's friend at the paper, Janice, has a lead on the Flamer story, and to especially show that it's important, she circled the absolute fuck out of it. So Kim is off to Newitt Street, on the corner of I've Got a Hunch Avenue and What a Scoop Boulevard. Kim is feeling a bit hungry, so she grabs a snack. And I guess now I know what kind of nasty person eats nuts out of those 25-cent vending machines. The machine doesn't work though, but luckily Kim is aided by a hulking Asian fellow covered in blood. The blood really adds to the zestiness.
Did you see what happened last night? The girl who jumped? Did you see that?
Cannot help but see it. Live upstairs. Could be Hooker, huh?
You're gonna have to wait until 9 o'clock if you want to employ Kim in that capacity, pal. Kim visits the crime scene, and lucky for the chalk artist, the scorch marks did half his job for him. He got to go home early. Because Kim is an aimless character in an aimless story, next she visits the nearby bookstore where she bumps into Clint Howard just, you know, going about his day.
Get away from me! Leave me alone!
But Kim also meets with the owner of the bookstore, Fema, played by Maud Adams, who also played the titular Pussy in Octopussy.
You really ought to be institutionalized. Can I help you?
As a gift, Fema gives Kim the expository plot device book we need to move the story forward,
It's a gift.
and also offers the reporter a snack that proves once again Kim will put anything in her mouth. Fema escorts Kim up to the roof where the burning woman fell, and for a moment Kim considers putting herself out of her misery being stuck in this film, but she just doesn't have the guts. She'll wish she had killed herself though, because she runs into Clint Howard again with a little surprise for her. Hey, I think I ate that at Red Lobster once. Back at Kim's apartment, she's having some more bug problems. Okay, you're spraying pesticide directly on your dishes? The hell is wrong with you? Because her apartment is a dump, Kim opts to instead have an awkward dinner with her boyfriend Hank's family. You know, it's funny that Hank's mom feeds Kim these wieners because Kim was gulping down Hank's wiener earlier that day. The family has a toast and Hank's dad finally speaks up.
You know where all that beer goes?
Excuse me?
Neither do I.
Oh, I get it. Because he drinks a lot of beer. Oh, have mercy.
That's a new one, Dad. Yeah, well, I told that to you last year. It always works.
After that little icebreaker, though, Kim just has to make things awkward again.
Do you have your tree up yet? It's almost Christmas.
Not yet.
Kim's Jewish. Jesus.
The main character of this Christmas movie doesn't even celebrate Christmas? Oh, dear Lord.
Actually, I'm not religious. It's the time of year, really.
Bullshit.
Doesn't even celebrate any holiday? Ugh. Hearing that somebody doesn't celebrate Christmas instantly transforms Hank's father into Ben Stein.
You know, woman was made from the rib of man.
That's a myth. It's an allegory.
It is goddamned real.
I've never seen anybody get this heated over whether or not Santa exists. I mean, that's what Christmas is about, right?
Kim, don't take it so seriously.
Hey, it doesn't matter.
Hank tries his best to console Kim the best way he knows how, by feeling her up.
Get off of me! What is wrong with you? Why are you always jumping on top of me?
Hey, you kept jumping on top of him earlier in the movie.
Kim. Kim.
Back home, Kim discovers her discarded spaghetti dinner she for some reason didn't clean up off her floor earlier has a mind of its own. And bitch, this is why you have bugs. You just leave fucking food lying out. Use your brain. Honestly though, that's the smallest bug I've ever seen in an LA apartment. Kim spends the rest of the night vomiting, but she does this every night regardless. She's a raging alcoholic, a total mess. And speaking of which, Janice pops in to find out why Kim hasn't been going to work.
Eli was pissed as hell when you didn't show up for work yesterday afternoon. Boys will be boys.
Kim, this is why you can't land a husband. Adding to the reasons why she'll die alone, Kim decides to spend her afternoon skipping work again and instead hangs out with a group of spinsters in the park.
Welcome to our party.
Hopefully this leads to a lesbian scene at least.
I thought you might have to work.
Well, in a way, this could be construed as work.
You like the wine?
Yes, thank you.
Man, this somehow makes Sex in the City seem watchable. After a toast, half the spinsters go for a walk, leaving Fema and Kim alone to get to know each other in the best possible way. Yeah, now we're talking.
Kim, what the hell are you doing?
Of course, Hank ruins the moment and makes Kim actually go to work and do her job instead of kissing MILFs in the park. And, you know, despite being a no-show, Kim's boss decides to officially assign her the spontaneous combustion story.
Hank really feels that you'd be invaluable on the spontaneous combustion story.
And Kim aims to prove she's serious about being a reporter by dressing like one. Well, she's wearing part of a Michael Jackson costume she wore for Halloween last year, but reporters wear fedoras in movies sometimes, so close enough. Kim and Hank check out the bookstore roof and don't find anything new, which does make this scene pointless, but at least she didn't run into Clint Howard again. Anyway, after another unproductive day, Kim drops Fema a line and maybe, continue where they left off in the last scene.
I just made a pot of tea. Would you like some?
I would love to, thank you.
Good.
After Fema sprinkles a mysterious substance in Kim's cup of tea, I can only assume by coincidence Kim begins to feel very sleepy. So it's here where Fema decides to make Kim recreate stunts from Fear Factor.
Eat it.
Honestly, that's the least gross thing we've seen Kim put in her mouth so far. Later, Kim awakens to the sight of, oh god, Clint Howard! Oh, and some kind of bug thing too, but oh no, Clint Howard! After Kim throws up a roach that's slightly smaller than the ones you'll find at your local Waffle House, Clint Howard gives Kim a facial with his big cock. Roach. This isn't the worst movie ever made, but simultaneously it is. Anywho, Kim wakes up from that pleasant dream and gets the fuck out of this place. The first smart thing she's done the whole movie. Returning home, Kim finds inside her apartment the only thing worse than Clint Howard. Her boyfriend, Hank.
You been drinking, Kim?
I want my key back. I can't deal with this, understand?
When Hank doesn't take a hint and leave, Kim decides to exit the movie herself, the only way she knows how.
Stop it! Stop it!
But when that doesn't work, Kim opts to gaslight Hank into thinking he just woke up.
What happened tonight?
You were sleeping.
I mean, it's not as bad as when Hank gaslights Kim into thinking she just fell down the stairs anytime he beats the fuck out of her.
I want to fuck you while you're sleeping.
If it wasn't for date rape, Kim would never get laid. You know, this scene is really sexy, but you know what would make it hotter? Clint Howard watching TV at the foot of the bed. Oh, the movie read my mind. And no joke, Clint Howard is watching a scene from the third Silent Night, Deadly Night movie. And you know you're making an especially bad sequel when a character in your film just watches one of the other sequels.
Who the fuck are you? Santa Claus killer!
Kim and Hank aren't really into Clint Howard's attempt at arranging a threesome, but when you got a pest who just won't leave, sometimes you gotta show it the broom. But this rat's got teeth. Legend has it that if Clint Howard bites you, you become aware, Clint Howard, when the moon is full. We won't be able to put this to the test, though, since Clint Howard keeps stabbing the fuck out of Hank.
Just leave her alone. Oh, do you own her?
Yeah, man, let the lady decide for herself if she wants to go against her will with the knife-wielding brother of the Da Vinci Code director. Kim hides beneath her bed, waiting to see how this protracted brawl pans out, but, you know, I got a hunch that Hank is winning. Okay, no, I was wrong. Hank definitely isn't winning this fight. Dying is the furthest thing from winning any fight.
Are you here?
Oh, shit.
Luckily for Kim, her work friend Janice arrives to save the day.
Are you crazy?
If Hank only did that, he'd still be alive today.
I want you to go back with Ricky now. He won't hurt you.
Actually, it's revealed that Janice was, shockingly, one of the spinster witches who've been wrecking Kim's Christmas. You know, if she celebrated Christmas. But after detaining her in a meat locker, the witches have the perfect Christmas gift for Kim anyway. Forced sex with Clint Howard, the thing every woman fantasizes about. You can tell Stanley Kubrick shamelessly ripped this movie off with Eyes Wide Shut. You know, sex with Clint Howard is pretty uncomfortable, but you honestly wake up the next morning feeling like $1,000,000, totally refreshed. If you ignore your fingers bending into spaghetti, your taint leaking applesauce, and your legs turning into a crude dolphin flipper, but trust me, once you get past all of that, sex with Clint Howard shapes up to be every gal's wildest fantasy. Just like with every one-night stand, though, Kim is immediately told to leave once it's over.
You go. Now.
Anyway, after that crazy bullshit, Kim casually returns to the bookstore owned by the woman who set up Kim's sexual liaison with Clint Howard, possibly to set up round 2.
You're one of us now. Free your men and the parasite of fear they bring us.
But it's revealed that Kim has inadvertently become a member of FEMA's coven of witches. But in order to maintain her status as a witch and not spontaneously combust, Kim must make a human sacrifice.
We need a life to feed your fears. Hank had a brother, a boy.
Lonnie?
Specifically sacrificing Hank's little brother Lonnie. But Kim didn't sign up for killing kids, she's just in it for the Clint Howard sex. Kim attempts, in vain, to convince the police that bug-loving spinster witches killed her boyfriend in her apartment last night, but she probably should have made sure the evidence was still there before calling the cops.
Ma'am, are you in therapy?
No!
Trust me, man, if Kim was in therapy, this movie wouldn't have happened to begin with.
Not in therapy.
Well, would you like me to recommend somebody for you?
At the LAI's office Christmas party, Kim tries to confirm Hank's status as a dead guy.
Hank's out of town on assignment. You knew that.
No, I didn't know that. I don't know what you're talking about.
But instead finds out she's getting Hank's job. But, you know, it comes with a catch.
Welcome to the family. Now, you have to bring us the boy.
Ah, there's always a fucking catch. Kim ends up pursued through the streets of LA by Clint Howard, which, you know, is something most women in LA have to deal with, but these are far more extraordinary circumstances. So Kim manages to hide out in a motel room with its door conveniently left wide open because this movie has a contrived plot. And hey, while hiding, she can pass the time by watching some wholesome lesbian porn. But it's cut short by FEMA, this snatch blocker.
You must bring the boy.
Following this, Kim's hands start to look like they were made by Vincent Price, and she begins to feel intense pain in her lower body, which might just be the Chipotle she ate for brunch, but no, Kim is starting to spontaneously combust, and it's one of those waterproof fires you see in SpongeBob episodes, so Kim just says fuck it and agrees to sacrifice a child.
Oh, that's what she said.
Meanwhile, at the home of Hank's family, Lonnie's unboxing gifts, and his father is hoping to get a viral hit like that Nintendo 64 kid.
Well, what the hell's the matter? Don't you like it?
Said I liked it.
Well, smile a little bit, will you?
But Lonnie's just not giving the reaction his dad hoped he'd get over the denim jacket. Anyway, Kim drops by for a visit after taking a ride in Clint Howard's rape van and convincing Lonnie at the door that his brother Hank is in said rape van.
Hank's not with you, is he? Sure he is. He's out in the car. Do you want to come out and talk to him?
Kim effortlessly kidnaps Lonnie, but you know Clint Howard, he likes to be thorough. So, just to be safe, Clint Howard ties up Lonnie's mom, strangles Lonnie's father to death, and sets Lonnie's house on fire. No turning back now. At the top of the bookstore roof, the witches prepare to sacrifice the young boy to, some worm puppets, but Kim has cold feet, despite them spontaneously combusting earlier, of course. Kim was never able to commit to anything, and instead she opts to stab FEMA, but not without some objections. Clint Howard shields Kim because, after all, Kim is carrying his child, so FEMA just stabs Clint Howard first, and he makes a good appetizer for these worm puppets. This isn't a happy ending yet, though. Kim is succumbing to her spontaneous combustion in an unrelated case of Jell-O fingers, but Kim manages to use her flaming hands to impale FEMA and, transfer the spontaneous combustion to FEMA instead, and we get the whole cyclical ending thing with FEMA falling off the roof. I'd complain about this making no sense, but at least the movie's over. So whatever, and hey, Lonnie gets to live too. I mean, sure, his parents and brother were brutally killed, his house was burned down, and he'll be awarded the state, but, at least he still has his denim jacket. Gotta look on the bright side. And to think, all this terrible shit happened to Lonnie because his brother Hank decided to start nutting inside this crazy bitch. Silent Night, Deadly Night 4 Initiation is technically better than the previous two sequels, which isn't saying much, I know, but at the same time, it's the least watchable Silent Night, Deadly Night movie because of its subject matter involving bugs, Clint Howard sex, and barely having anything to do with Christmas. But hey, the film accomplishes what it sets out to do. It's fucking gross and uncomfortable throughout, mostly through the effects work of frequent Brian Yuzna collaborator Screaming Mad George, who previously had done the effects for the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise's most disgusting sequence, the Cockroach Nightmare. You need gross bug effects, you go to Screaming Mad George. And speaking of bugs, Silent Night, Deadly Night 4 does have a lot in common with Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Both films are standalone chapters in their franchises involving bugs and witchcraft, but, Season of the Witch had some production value to it and is fun to watch. Initiation has neither of those things going for it, but I gotta hand it to the makers of this film trying something new, even if they failed really hard. Ironically, if this movie had been made today, it would have been released by A24 and would have been hailed as a masterpiece of elevated horror. I mean, if you think about it, Kim having to sacrifice Lonnie in order to be successful at her job is an allegory for how modern women have to choose between a career or motherhood.
I think a woman's place is in the home, raising a family.
They have to sacrifice children in order to achieve their dreams. You know, that kind of horse shit. One man's trash 30 years ago is another man's treasure today. I give Silent Night, Deadly Night 4 Initiation a Hank out of Clint Howard. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from your old pal, Dr. Wolfula.
Ho, 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 but isn't the Virgin Mary?
This video is made possible through the pledges of my Patreon supporters, and I'd like to give a very special thanks to the kind folks pledged to my shoutouts tier. All of the support on Patreon means a lot to me, and it helps my dark influence continue to grow. If you like this video, like it, and if you loved it, click the subscribe and bell buttons for more vids. Be sure to also keep in touch by following me on social media at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dr. Wolfula. While I still have your attention, consider pledging to my Patreon to support the channel and get bonus content like previews, VIP Discord server access, private movie night streams, and credits in videos. Consider pledging at patreon.com/Dr. Wolfula. Also, check out official Dr. Wolfula t-shirts and other merch on tpublic.com/user/Dr. Wolfula. Thanks for watching. See you all next time. Dr. Wolfula signing out.